Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and this week we're back on Harry, looking further into this exhaust. Alright, those of you watching last week will have seen that I made myself yet another exhaust for the back of Harry. I am quite happy with how it came out. It looks much neater than the homebrew sort of modified one that I made many years ago. And then many of you might have seen that I also made a twin muffler switchable type thing, and that didn't work either. So, but this one, and I'll put a link up above if you missed me building this one, was actually very surprising. I was really expecting it to be way too loud, and when I started it, I was shocked. It really isn't, particularly considering it's only got the one muffler in the middle. Now, there are a couple of comments about the fact that I've got the gases going in opposite directions through the muffler, but this muffler is it's a glass pack muffler. It has basically two straight through tubes going through it, which are perforated, so just perforated holes. So the gases do share the glass packed area, but it's sort of, the gas is going into glass pack. It's not like it's sort of going into an empty chamber and they're just sort of mixing up and trying to work a way out. So yeah, I'm quite comfortable with that. I have no concerns that they're working against each other or anything like that. And I'm not the first person to do this style of exhaust. There's lots of guys who've done it. I am just really surprised with how good it is. Okay, so after that video last week, I did take it out and I got another log. And I'll take you through those logs now so you can sort of see what the differences were and what we have to look into. All right, so I apologise for the audio straight away, but let's just get into it. I'm struggling recording because this has to use a PC and I use Mac for everything else. So we'll just go through this now. This is the log for the first third gear run I did before I put the new exhaust on, before I did anything. You can sort of see over this side here, there's the lambda figures, that one of the wideband sensors wasn't working at all, and this one was not working properly. So neither of them were doing what they're supposed to. If you keep an eye on these figures here as we go through the run, and you can sort of see that they don't change. It sort of jumps up and jumps down, and it's not right. So that is not what we want. So we don't have an accurate thing there, but it's not actually using closed loop running. That's more for information rather than anything else at this stage, because they weren't working properly. But we'll go through some of the other parameters. Up the top here, we've got engine speed. This is the ignition angle before top dead center. So it starts out at 15 degrees. It ramps up to about 21, I think, degrees. What have we got up to? 20 degrees at just over 7,000 RPM. So throttle position, it sits flat. For some reason it's actually dropping off. It's not actually reading 100% all the time. It's 97, 95, 96. Whether my foot wasn't flat to the floor or something like that, I'll have to have a look into that. This here is injector duty cycle, so you can see the percent of injector we're using, and as we get up to the top, it's only using about 60% injector, so we've got plenty of head with injectors. We're not going to run lean. So if we just run through this first run and play it, we can watch the situation. It revs up, and I've actually timed from 2,500 RPM through to where it hits the end limit at 7,000 RPM, because over that it starts getting a little bit uneven. I think the rev limit actually starts kicking in a little bit earlier, and it's a little bit rough, as you can sort of see there on that graph up the top there. I calculated that all out, and that did 11.192 seconds to go from 2,500 RPM to 7,000 RPM. Now, it's not the most accurate when it getting to these figures. As you can sort of see at the top here, as I sort of go through these figures, it actually jumps sort of quite a bit, and even if I zoom right in on it, it still doesn't sort of move much and jumps up and down, and it's not a very accurate things. But anyway, that is the initial run. We'll also, before we go, I'll just take note that the engine temperature of the actual cylinder heads was 41 degrees Celsius, or where I've got my engine temperature sensor, and the inlet air temperature was 10 degrees Celsius, so it was quite a cool morning. You can actually see here that we're getting 0 lambda reading at all in this next log, so you can see that nothing is working there at all. It's not telling us anything as far as the wideband sensors go. So as we go through the engine speed, again, I went through and calculated the time. You can see that the timing is all working. The throttle position is still also not showing full 100%, the 96.6 there at the moment. Injectors still going up to 60%, so this doesn't really tell us much more, but I did go through and punch the figures in, and it's 11.21. The other one was 11.19, and basically they're both at about 11.2 seconds, from 2,500 RPM to 7,000 RPM. Okay, so as you saw with those logs, the lambda sensors weren't working, so I can't get my proper indication of how my air-fuel mixture is working, whether I've actually freed up the exhaust. I could have potentially leaned out the engine a little bit. Now, those lambda signals weren't working properly. One of them wasn't working properly back when I got the car dynoed last time, and since changing the exhaust, seems like neither of them working very well. And even beforehand, it seems like it was running really, really rich. So I talked to Jamie at Raceworks, and he's got me out a couple more O2 sensors. So I'm going to chuck them on the car now, and then we might go out and have another run and go and see what this thing is running like now. Okay, so I've got my wideband oxygen sensors changed over now with the new Raceworks ones. So now it's time to get into my ECU again and see if they're actually working, and have a look and see what the levels are actually like. All right, let's start her up and see how it goes. All right, we have the thing running. We've got some lambda figures, so let's go and do a bit of a run, get it warmed up, and then we'll do our tests and see if we've made a difference. Well, cruising around, the figures are looking pretty good. When I'm off throttle, they're going a little bit lean, which I think is normal, which is what you want. I am noticing that one of the widebands is reading like slightly different to the other. They're both about 0.05 of a lambda off of each other, so you know, when one's running 800, the other's running 850 sort of thing. Seems to be going okay. When I'm cruising, as I said, when I'm backing off the throttle, it goes to a little bit lean. When I'm on it, it riches up. Looks like it's nice and safe still, and everything seems to be running pretty well. So I've mostly got things warmed up now. I'll just take it for a bit of a drive, and then we'll do another test run and see how it goes. Okay, and this log is the last log I did. This is the log from today, and you can already see down the bottom here that we have wideband sensors that are actually working and giving us some figures. You can see it go through and running, and you can see the Lambda is chasing. The target is 8.15. It's going up and down, but they're all running reasonably evenly. At least under power, the widebands are running quite evenly. But then as we go off of power, I'm just sort of backing off, see how they vary quite a bit? They sort of really change quite dramatically from each other. So, yeah, it's quite an interesting one. Timing this run, you can see that the temperatures here are very similar, 38 degrees as opposed to 40 degrees. Engine temperature and inlet air temperature is 9 degrees, so quite similar. And timing this one, again, it wasn't that accurate. It got 11.4, although... yeah, so it does actually look like it's a little bit slower by these figures, but I don't think this tells the whole story, and I think there is more to it than what we're seeing on the figures here. So as I said, I don't think those figures give us the full picture, and what I mean by that is it doesn't factor in the butt dyno, and the butt dyno tells me... to me, it feels like it's actually picked up a bit more at the top end of the range. It feels like it wants to rev more. I know by the figures, it may have actually lost a little bit at the bottom end, but I think it's sort of moved that torque curve up slightly in the rev range, and it feels great to drive. It does feel like there might be something going on right at the top end, and you can see in those figures on the graph that it sort of breaks up a little bit, and it's not really doing what it should. It's not as smooth as it should above 7,000 RPM, but it's still going up nicely up to 7 now. So not sure on how that factors into everything, but the car is running better. I'm going to keep looking into it. That exhaust sounds better, looks better. I am much happier with that exhaust. So thanks again to Design 911 for that. So we've still got more to do on this because I am getting ready for a big Tasmania road trip again this year, and there's a bunch of bits and pieces that I'm still going to be doing on this car, so there will be a lot more episodes on this. For parts for any of your Porsches, check out PorschePartsByJeff.com first to compare prices, and check out Design 911 again. They're a good supporter of Porsche Parts by Jeff, and if you go through PorschePartsByJeff.com to buy Design 911 stuff, it helps us out greatly. So like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. Join us on Patreon to watch the videos a day early, and we'll see you on the next one. See you guys.